Hey, it's Buddy Lee. Welcome to my channel. I've fallen a little behind in my war videos, so we're getting a 2-in-1 this time. This first war is against Legion, and we're starting out in Section 1, Path 7. I go ahead and boost up with the 6-hour boost for this war, and we're going to use a Power Start 1 for these first two fights. We are using Nick Fury against this torch, and it's pretty straightforward. This fight has kinetic transference, so we'll try to avoid blocking a bunch of hits. We start out by landing a few intercepts and ending our combos with a light attack. Now we get ready to dex the SP1. And after that, we land one more combo into our SP2, and we finish this fight off with a full yellow bar. Next, we have this Icarus with 100% increased power rate and brute force, which we'll take with Tigra. We still have our Power Start 1 active, so all we need to do in this fight is bait and counter a couple heavies, then launch our SP2, and it's bye-bye Icarus. Now on to Section 2, and we're taking past 7 there as well. First up will be Thing, and here we have Spite and Rise to Power. So he'll gain some extra power during our SP2s from the unblockable buffs, and we also have to avoid letting him contact us after knocking him down. I use an Indestructible here since we're dealing with extra power gain, just in case either of these next two fights get out of control and we have to tank an SP3. And then a Mystic Power Boost just to top it off. We counter his SP1, and then parry and land a combo. I want him to throw one more SP1, and I end up triggering Dex and giving him some extra power gain. We get one more SP1 counter and go right into our SP2. He gains enough power from Spite to get to his SP2, which he throws right away, and we go ahead and counter that as well. Our parry here triggers protection, so it's going to take the juice out of the first few hits of the SP2, and this pushes him to another SP2. We counter that with a heavy, and that does it for this fight. Next up, we have Apoc on Aspect of Evolution and Kinetic Transference. This fight is actually kind of embarrassing as a Tigra player, as she's one of the best counters for Apoc, but this is only if you aren't running damage masteries, which up until very recently I always did, so I have limited practice with this SP1 counter. I did duels beforehand and it felt good, but as you'll see here, I still need to perfect this. So the counter is 3 dashbacks, 3 lights, and then hold heavy to miss, but my fingers are feeling really slow, and I feel like it was too slow to pull off here. You can still counter with only 2 lights, but you miss the first 2 heavy hits. Then he doesn't cooperate by trying to attack during my heavy spam, and we only have a few ruptures going into SP2. I go ahead and reactivate a sense with SP1, and this time I just do 2 dashbacks and 2 lights, which gives better spacing. However, I release the heavy early, and now I have a weakness on me, which is bad because Tigra can't miss with the weakness applied. So now I have to block these SP1s until that weakness falls off, but we just need to stay calm and wait this out and we should be okay. Alright, so that was about as ugly as it gets, but we really weren't in any serious danger in the fight. That being said, we will be dueling many more Apocs before the next time. We move on to Nimrod next, and we heal up from that Apoc fight and then drop one more indestructible. Alright, in this fight we're dealing with the kinetic transference again, feats of indestructible, and opportunist. We also have to keep an eye on the unstoppable armor global. He starts unstoppable and we wait that out, and then do a double light to counter his incredibly long heavy animation. Now I want to bait and counter SP1s, which is always the goal against Nimrod, while also keeping an eye on the unstoppable armor timer. We just land this heavy before senses fall off, which is nice, but he did activate the indestructible, so this SP2 damage is about cut in half. But still, it doesn't take much longer to take him down the rest of the way. Next we're looking at the Angela mini-boss on Safeguard, as well as Warlock on Polka Dot Power. Tigra counters this fight perfectly, as Angela would go unblockable while regen is active, but Tigra's neutralize will prevent that, and she also gets right past Safeguard with her red damage. We stack up some ruptures, and one SP2 is more than enough to finish this fight off. We had a bit of a tragedy here, as I had to come back later for Warlock because I was out of energy, and I forgot to hit record on this fight. It was a really cool takedown that I hadn't done before as well, so it was extra tragic. I had a nice war here, but we did lose 13-10, which I'm pretty sure was our worst war this season. Now on to the next war, which was War 6 of this season, and we're taking on Matrix. They banned Tigra, so I'm coming into this one with Guardian and SHANG-CHI. First, I'm taking on Colossus in Section 1, Path 3. We have Hit Me I Dare You and Static Defense. This means every 10 hits, Colossus gets an extra armor up buff. We also have a 15% chance to get shocked when hitting the defender with an active armor up buff, which Colossus is always going to have, plus we need to be careful of Unstoppable Armor Global. So my Guardian is Sig 200, so his energy resistance will actually let us heal from those shocks as long as we don't get too many at one time. I get caught off guard with Unstoppable here. I need to also pay attention when the armor up buff expires on Colossus because the SIG ability can reapply it and activate Unstoppable armor. I decide to bait his SP1 before dropping my SP3, which I really didn't need to do, but either way, it doesn't really matter. I land the 10th hit on the Hit Me I Dare You counter, and he tries to get a quick SP1 off while unstoppable, but I was ready for it and back off. But I wasn't ready for that one, and he lands a combo. It's time to quit fooling around in this fight, and I get to my SP2 and finish him off. Alright, on to section 2, and we're taking path 4, which first up has a void for us. We boost up and I apply 150% skill power boost and a power start 1, but I think I learned here that the power boost really isn't needed with SHANG-CHI. So in this fight, if we have 3 debuffs, Void goes unblockable, and Special Burst Lockdown applies an armor break and a heal block, so we'll use SHANG-CHI's cleanse to remove these as we go. So we ran through all the chi strikes and then reset. Then Void throws his SP2 and we counter with a medium light medium to cleanse into our own SP2. We gained a little too much power from our boost, and at this point I decide, since I have 4 cleanse charges, I'll just try to finish him off with basics. Now we have Havok, and this is where I get into trouble. This was my assignment, and it isn't a good one in hindsight, but I didn't notice the issue either, and we go into this fight with Guardian, who's going to fuel debuffs to be applied with his energy hits, and we're also going to have an issue with Crumbling Armor taking away our armor buff to counter Havok's detonation. So we land 2 combos and Havok's already unblockable. This is going to make it really tough to land a hit before Crumbling Armor applies an armor break, and Guardian loses his ability to counter Havok. We bait an SP2, which is good, and at this point I'm starting to think about baiting Havok's heavy so that I can heavy counter it and stack a few extra armor buffs for safety. I'm really having little luck baiting out heavies, and then I take a combo. I finally get one and activate an armor buff, and then I go into my SP3. I take another combo, and he does what I really didn't want him to do by throwing his SP1, and now the detonate hits us hard. I really need to land a heavy now, but time is running out. He throws another SP1 and those debuffs are stacking up, which leads to one more detonate and we die. So that was really rough, and the scary part is that I have no backup and SHANG-CHI isn't going to work for this fight, so Guardian is going to have to pull this off somehow without giving up another death. So this time I'm using all the boost with the tech boost as well and power start 1. I have a strategy that could work, but it's going to be tough. So I start the fight out baiting a heavy, and then countering with a few hits and baiting another heavy, which removes a stack from his buildup. I want to get just shy of an SP2 and then throw my SP1. Now I really don't want him to throw SP1, so I'm heavy on the block, and then I do end up taking a combo, which is still better than him throwing SP1. So I'm hoping that my SP2 will take him down from here, but I want to land a heavy first so that I'm not left with no armor after, so that the plasma detonate doesn't kill me. We do get that heavy, and now I have 2 armor up buffs. Now I need an opening to land my SP2, and we intercept into it, but this still isn't enough to finish him off. Now it's kamikaze mode, and I manage to get back to another SP2 and toss it to take him down and escape without losing another attack bonus. My heart was beating pretty fast after this fight, and it ended up being a close war, so I'm very happy that we were able to clean this fight up after the first KO. So those were all my fights in this war, and we ended up getting a victory with a score of 7-8. Alright, well that's going to do it for this video. If you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.